So checking for adherence to local lockdown rules in supplier sites is going to be a big issue. I mean, now that Rob had said perhaps COVID is going to stay with us for quite some time, maybe 3 years, 5 years, who knows, with emergence of new variants. So there are a lot of regulations, a lot of rules that many governments across the globe come up with, especially when it comes to how to manage your workplace, factories, etc. So Adam, what do you think, how this is going to impact in the days to come?
Yes, I think there's already regulatory bodies and standards, health and safety, like OSHA and HSE, that have already picked up on this and are already reviewing companies' adherence to guidance to minimise risk of spreading of COVID. From an audit perspective, we're seeing more customers interested in ensuring that their supply chains are able to adhere to controls within their facilities. Aside from the health and safety perspective, there's obviously the issue that if you have to shut down a facility or you have to shut down operations, that has big financial implications. So the importance of cleanliness and hygiene, but also walkways and space that's available, how you're managing, whether it's a 50% that you're having into a facility at once, what one-way systems are in place, all of those kind of things are being picked up as part of audits now and are being looked at. Face masks effectively is really another form of PPE, which is always been looked at anyway. But also the controls that are in place to do with LEV, so the extraction and air conditioning units, everything like that. So I think there's obviously legal requirements. There are acts in place now, and there's more monitoring from a regulatory perspective. But from a client perspective, looking at their supply chains, there's also an impetus and pressure on them ensuring that they're maintaining appropriate levels of COVID control, or however you want to call it, because there's big operational and output issues if you have to start shutting down lines, or you have to start shutting down parts of factories and having people to isolate. So it's becoming more and more important.
Okay, thank you so much, Adam. Rob, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, I think these kinds of measures will continue to be important. Even with people that are vaccinated. I know organizations I've worked with have put in entire procurement business functions that are literally will talk to suppliers and ensure that any suppliers that are coming on site are meeting these requirements. They're trained in these requirements. They understand the limitations, and guaranteeing the safety of employees and ensuring that suppliers who are coming on site are validated and trained and understand these requirements. I think is going to become more important. I think we're also looking at some companies are going to require vaccinations to be on site. They're simply going to say, that's our company policy, and we have a right to be able to do that. I think government entities will also at some point start to require that as well. And this is going to be problematic because, again, there are some people that are really, they're anti-vaxxers. I mean, they really do not want to be vaccinated. They're very opposed to it, and there's a lot of misinformation out there, I think, as to why they're not willing to do that. But in this kind of world that we're in, where there's so much social media floating around, it's causing some confusion out there. But I think we're going to start to see some of these things gel a little bit, and I think providing more information to people and giving them options is going to be important. But there's also going to be a certain level of compliance, particularly for these kinds of basic measures.